I never thought I would be the guy spilling his personal business on the internet, but here I am. Maybe I just need to get this off my chest. Maybe someone out there has been through the same thing and can tell me I'm not losing my mind. So here's my story. I am 35 years old, married to Emily, who is 32. We have been together for 7 years. When we first met, she was everything I ever wanted. Smart, funny, full of life. She made me feel like the luckiest man alive. We built a life together, bought a house, traveled, and planned for the future. I thought we had something solid, something real. But now, looking back, I can see the cracks started forming a while ago. At first, they were small, barely noticeable. Easy to ignore. You tell yourself that people change, that work and stress get in the way, that it is just a rough patch. You convince yourself that the little voice in the back of your mind is just paranoia. Because the alternative, the idea that the person you love, the person you trust, is betraying you, is too damn painful to face. It started subtly. Emily used to be affectionate, always touching me in little ways, grabbing my hand while we watched TV, wrapping her arms around me from behind while I made coffee. Then one day it just stopped. The hugs became less frequent. The quick kisses on the lips turned into pecks on the cheek. She stopped reaching for me first, and when I leaned in to kiss her, there were times she would turn her head, just slightly, so I barely caught the corner of her mouth. I brushed it off. We are adults. People get busy, responsibilities pile up. Love evolves, right? The honeymoon phase does not last forever. That is what I told myself. Then came the phone thing. Emily was never the type to be glued to her phone. She would leave on the counter, the coffee table, even in another room for hours. But suddenly that changed. Now, her phone was always with her, always face down. If I walked into the room, she would swipe up to the home screen so fast it was like muscle memory. And if I asked who she was texting, she would sigh and roll her eyes. Do I need to report every conversation I have? She had said once, irritation laced in her voice. That stung. Because I was not accusing her of anything. I was just making conversation. Then there were the late nights. Emily works in marketing, and about 6 months ago, she got a huge opportunity to take on a major client. Some wealthy businessman needed a full branding overhaul, and she was handpicked to lead the project. She was over the moon about it, and I was happy for her. But that was when everything changed. Suddenly, she was working late all the time. Dinners went cold on the table. Weekends turned into networking events. She stopped making plans with me, said she never knew when she would be free. At first, I believed her. Why wouldn't I? She was ambitious. She loved her job. I even joked that she was going to climb the corporate ladder and leave me in the dust. She laughed, kissed me, and told me I was being ridiculous. But then the spending started. Emily always liked nice things, but she was never flashy. She used to roll her eyes at women who flaunted designer handbags and overpriced heels. But now she had them. Gucci bags, Prada shoes, expensive jewelry I knew we could not afford. I asked her about it. She laughed. I am treating myself. I frowned. With what money? She waved me off. Got a nice bonus from work. Do not worry about it. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But there was something in her tone, too dismissive, too quick, like she was daring me to question her further. Then came the perfume. Emily has worn the same perfume for years, a light vanilla scent I loved. But one night, she came home smelling completely different. Something stronger, muskier, something I knew was not for me. New perfume? I asked casually. She barely looked up from her phone. Yeah, my friend recommended it. A friend, right? I felt like I was losing my mind. The little things kept stacking up. Missed calls from unknown numbers, hushed conversations that ended the second I walked in, a sudden obsession with hitting the gym when she had never cared before. But the moment I knew something was wrong, Emily started dressing differently. She was always stylish, but practical, business casual for work, comfy clothes at home. But now, she was wearing fitted dresses, high heels, silk blouses that looked way too nice for an office setting, and a lingerie. One day, I found a lacy black set in the laundry. I held it up, my stomach twisting. When did you get this? I asked when she walked in. She barely glanced at it. Oh, that? I bought it months ago. Just never wore it. That was a lie. I knew what she owned. I put the lingerie back down and said nothing. I could have confronted her right then. I should have, but I was not ready. Not yet. Instead, I decided to find out the truth myself. For weeks, I convinced myself that I was overthinking, that I was letting my insecurities get the best of me, that I was blowing everything out of proportion. But deep down, I already knew. Then, 2 weeks after I found the lingerie, I finally reached my breaking point. Emily had another one of her late meetings. I was home alone, stewing in my own thoughts, when I noticed her laptop sitting on the kitchen counter, open but asleep. She never left her devices unlocked. I should have walked away. I should have respected her privacy. But I did not. I tapped the trackpad. The screen lit up. No password prompt. And there, sitting right at the top of her email inbox, was a message from someone named Daniel H., with the subject line, "Tonight." My stomach dropped. I clicked it. Daniel H. "Can't wait to see you again tonight. Got us the penthouse suite. No distractions this time. Just you and me. You looked stunning yesterday, by the way. That dress was a showstopper, though I think I prefer you without it. Emily. You spoil me too much. I will have to make it up to you tonight. Hope you do not mind if I'm a little late. Gotta keep things looking normal at home." Winky face. I felt like I had been hit by a truck. My hand shook as I scrolled through their messages. There were dozens of them. Some flirty, some downright filthy. All of them made me sick. Apparently, Daniel H. was not just some random guy. He was Emily's client, the wealthy businessman she had been working so hard for. The reason for the late nights. The reason for the designer clothes. The reason my wife had been pulling away from me. She was not just cheating. She was living a double life. My heart pounded so hard I could hear in my ears. I kept scrolling, needing to know just how deep this betrayal went. And that is when I found something that made my blood run cold. An invoice. Emily had sent Daniel an invoice. Not for marketing services, not for consulting, but for personal companionship. I stared at the screen, reading the words over and over, hoping, praying that I had misunderstood, that there was some logical explanation, that maybe I had misread the situation entirely. But there was clear as day. My wife was not just having an affair. She was getting paid for it. She had turned our marriage into a business transaction, selling herself to some wealthy prick while I sat at home thinking she was working late. Then, as if the universe wanted to rub salt in the wound, my phone buzzed on the counter. A text from Emily. "Hey babe, long night. Do not wait up. Love you." I stared at those words, my chest tightening. Love you. She had the audacity to text me that after spending the night with another man. I could not move. I felt frozen, like I had stepped outside of my own body, watching someone else's life fall apart. My wife, the woman I had built a life with, the woman I trusted, was not just cheating. She was being paid to do it. I scrolled through more emails, my hands shaking with rage. Bank transfers, invoices, thousands of dollars exchanged between them. This was not some mistake. It was not a drunken slip-up or a moment of weakness. This was planned. This was routine. And I had been the idiot sitting at home, cooking dinner for a woman who had no intention of coming back to me. My jaw clenched so hard it hurt. My hands were trembling, but I forced myself to keep reading. I needed to know everything before I confronted her. The bastard's name was Daniel H. He was exactly what I expected. Rich, arrogant, entitled. He threw money at her like it meant nothing. Booked 5-star hotels. Took her to restaurants so fancy I had never even heard of them. His messages made my stomach turn. "You looked stunning yesterday. That dress was a showstopper, though I think I prefer you without it." And Emily? She played along perfectly. You spoil me too much. I need to make it up to you tonight." I could barely breathe. This was a woman who still kissed me goodbye in the mornings, who still smiled at me across the dinner table, who still acted like I was the only man in her world. She had been living a double life. And the worst part? She was good at it. That was when something in me snapped. I was done waiting around like some pathetic fool. I was not going to let her walk into my house, climb into my bed, and pretend she was still my wife. I grabbed my keys and walked out the door. I drove without thinking, my hands gripping the wheel, so tight my knuckles turned white. I knew exactly where she was. The emails had all the details, the hotel, the room number. She was at the Grand Bellevue, one of those absurdly expensive hotels where they probably charge you just for breathing the air. I pulled into the parking lot, my mind racing. How was I going to do this? Was I going to storm into the room and catch her in the act? Wait in the lobby and confront her when she left? My anger was so hot, so raw I could barely think straight. But one thing was certain, I needed to see it for myself. I walked into the lobby, forcing myself to stay calm. The woman at the front desk barely glanced at me. She was too busy checking in a couple who looked like they had more money than I had seen in my entire life. I scanned the elevators. And then, right on cue, one of the doors slid open. Emily stepped out. Alone. She was adjusting the strap of her dress, the same dress Daniel had mentioned in his email. She looked radiant, glowing, like she had just spent the night exactly the way she wanted. Then she saw me. The glow disappeared in an instant. Her face went pale. I did not say a word. I just stared at her. For a moment, she stood frozen, like a deer caught in headlights. Then, she tried to recover. "Babe," she said, forcing a smile. "What are you doing here?" I let out a short, humorless laugh. "What am I doing here?" "You tell me, Emily," I said, my voice too calm for what I was feeling inside. "I thought you had a late meeting." She blinked, then quickly nodded. "I did. I was just—" She gestured vaguely, scrambling for a lie. "It was at the restaurant upstairs. Client dinner. Client dinner, right? Which client?" I asked. She hesitated for half a second. "Just some new accounts. It ran late, so I—" "Cut the crap, Emily," I snapped. "I know everything." Her mouth opened, then closed. Her eyes darted around the lobby, like she was searching for an escape. I do not know what you mean," she said weakly. I pulled out my phone, opened the email, and shoved it in her face. She stiffened. I watched as her eyes scanned the screen. She knew she was caught. There was no getting out of this. And that was when she did the most Emily thing possible. She rolled her eyes. "For God's sake," she muttered, crossing her arms. "So what? You went through my emails." My blood boiled. That was her reaction. Not guilt, not shame, but annoyance. "That is what you were worried about." I growled. "Not the fact that you have been screwing some rich asshole behind my back. Not the fact that you're taking money for it." She let out a short, breathy laugh. "Wow, you are so dramatic." I clenched my fists so hard my nails dug into my palms. "You do not get to gaslight me right now," I said, my voice low. "Dangerous." Emily sighed, rubbing her temples like I was the one giving her a headache. "You are making a huge deal out of this," she said. I stared at her, unable to believe what I was hearing. "A huge deal." My voice came out hoarse. "Are you serious right now?" Emily shrugged, like we were arguing about who left the dishes in the sink. "It is not like I do not love you," she said. That was the moment I realized something. She did not care. She was not sorry. She was never going to be sorry. Emily had already moved on. I had just been too blind to see it. She sighed dramatically, shifting her purse onto her shoulder. "Look," she said, "can we just go home and talk about this like adults?" I laughed. I actually laughed. "Go home," I repeated. "You think we were going home? After this?" She tilted her head. "Where else would we go?" I shook my head, feeling a strange, kind of calm wash over me. "We are done, Emily." She blinked. "Excuse me?" "You heard me," I said. "This marriage is over." For the first time, a flicker of emotion crossed her face. It was not guilt. It was not sadness. It was fear. She opened her mouth, then shut it again. She knew. She had never expected me to leave. And now, she had everything to lose. She scoffed, arms still crossed, as if I was the one overreacting. "Oh my God, do not be so dramatic." It is not like I was standing on some street corner. I stared at her, feeling something dark twist in my gut. "Oh really?" I said, my voice tight. "Because it looks exactly like what I think it is." She exhaled sharply, shaking her head like I was being unreasonable. "It is just business, okay? Networking. This is how things work in the real world. Powerful people help people like me. You think I got those bonuses just by being good at my job?" I clenched my fists at my sides, barely holding back the urge to put a hole in the wall. "You are actually trying to justify this?" I asked, my voice dangerously low. She shrugged, as if none of this mattered. "You are acting like I cheated on you with some random nobody for no reason. This is Daniel. He is important. He invests in people. And yeah, we slept together, but it is not like it meant anything." That was it. That was her entire defense. Something inside me snapped. You know what, Emily? I stepped closer, towering over her. I do not give a damn about your excuses. I do not care if you think it did not mean anything. You threw our marriage in the trash. You sold yourself for a few designer bags and fancy dinners. She rolled her eyes again, and that was when I realized she did not feel anything. Oh, please, she muttered. Our marriage was already dead. You were just too blind to see it. I let out a slow breath, staring at her like she was a complete stranger. You're disgusting, I said, my voice like ice. I hope he's worth it. And with that, I turned and walked away. Emily did not follow me. She did not cry. She did not do anything. She just stood there, arms crossed, lips pursed, bored. I walked out of the hotel, got into my car, and drove away. And for the first time in years, I felt something I had not felt in a long time. Freedom. I drove in silence, my grip tight on the wheel. My head was a mess. Rage, disbelief, maybe even relief swirling together in some sick mix of emotions I could not name. Emily had not even tried to stop me. No begging, no apologies. Just a smug, condescending look like I was some idiot who needed to be handled. By the time I pulled into our driveway, reality started to settle in. This was it. This was the end. I sat in the car, staring at the house. The same house we had picked together, decorated together, made a home in. Now, it was just walls. Just an empty building where I had been living a lie. I finally forced myself inside. The house was dark, quiet. I walked straight to the bedroom, opened Emily's closet, and started pulling out her clothes. I was done. I was not going to wait for her to come home and gaslight me into staying. I was not going to listen to another word out of her mouth. She had made her choice. I grabbed a suitcase from the top shelf, threw it on the bed, and started packing. Her designer dresses, her overpriced heels, the stupid perfume that she had started wearing for him. Halfway through, my phone buzzed. It was Emily. Emily, are you seriously overreacting like this? Let us be adults and talk. Overreacting. She really thought she could control this, that she could spin this. I ignored her and kept packing. Another text. Emily, look, I get that you were upset, but this is just childish. We can figure this out. Figure this out. Like this was some minor argument over dirty dishes. I was done playing her games. I texted back one word. Do not come back. Then I blocked her. That was it. I was done. For the next 2 days, Emily did not show up. Not a call. Not a knock at the door. I almost thought she had finally gotten the message. Then, on the third day, she tried again. I was working from home, trying to pretend my life had not just imploded when I heard the knock. I knew it was her before I even opened the door. She stood there in oversized sunglasses, arms crossed, lips pursed like she was annoyed by this whole situation. Are you seriously going to make me stand outside? She huffed. I leaned against the doorframe. I told you not to come back. She let out an exasperated sigh. Okay, enough, she snapped, pushing past me into the house. We need to talk. I let her in, not because I wanted to hear her out, but because I wanted to see what bullshit she was about to try. She took off her sunglasses and tossed them onto the counter. You are being ridiculous, she said. We have been together for years. You are really going to throw that away over this? I laughed. I actually laughed. Over this. I repeated. Emily, you were screwing another man for money. How exactly do you think this is not a deal breaker? She rolled her eyes, sighing like she was the one who had to be patient. Oh my God, stop acting like I was out on the street. Daniel and I had a mutual arrangement. He helped me financially, and in return, I kept him company. It is not like I did not care about you. I felt my jaw clench, so hard it hurt. You kept him company? I said, my voice eerily calm. Is that what we are calling it now? She actually had the nerve to smile. Look, you can be as mad as you want, but the truth is, I was the one making things happen. I was the one bringing in real money while you were stuck in your little routine, going nowhere. So excuse me for wanting more. I stared at her, stunned. She really thought she was better than me, like she had done something admirable. You are unbelievable, I muttered. She tilted her head, still smirking. Come on, be rational. We can still work this out. You know we work well together. Let's be smart about this. I took a step closer. You lied to me. You cheated on me. You sold yourself. And now you think you could just walk in here and negotiate. She shrugged. That is what adults do. That was it. That was the moment I realized Emily did not love me. Maybe she never had. This was not regret. This was damage control. She did not care that she hurt me. She only cared about what she would lose. I exhaled slowly. Get out. She blinked. Excuse me. You heard me. I said. Get your things. Get out of my house. Now. Her smirk faded. She opened her mouth, maybe to argue, maybe to beg. But I was done listening. 5 minutes, Emily, I said coldly. Then I'm calling the cops. For the first time, real fear flickered across her face. She knew. She had lost. I sat there, staring at the screen, my hands gripping my phone so tightly my knuckles turned white. Survivor? Breaking free? Was she serious? Lisa wasn't the victim here. She was the one who cheated. She was the one who lied, manipulated, and tried to drain our bank account. And now, she was spinning the story, twisting reality to make me the bad guy. I scrolled through the comments, my stomach tightening. People were eating it up. You're so brave, Lisa. No one deserves to go through that. Stay strong. I always knew something was off about him. That last one hit harder than it should have. She was not just lying, she was smearing me. And it was working. I called Mike back. Dude, I said as soon as he picked up, you saw it? Yeah, man, he sighed. It's bad. People are sharing it like crazy. I've already had a couple of mutual friends ask me what's going on. I ran a hand through my hair, exhaling sharply. I need to do something. I need to. No, Mike cut me off. Dude, don't. Do not engage with this. That's what she wants. She wants you to look like the angry, defensive ex. If you post anything, she'll twist it into proof that you're harassing her. I clenched my jaw. He was right. As much as I wanted to blast the truth all over social media, it wouldn't help. It would just make things worse. So what the hell am I supposed to do? I muttered. Mike hesitated. Lay low. Let this blow over. People move on fast. Just don't give her more ammo. I sighed. Yeah, all right. But deep down I knew Lisa wasn't done. I tried to move on. I really did. I ignored the texts, avoided mutual friends who were suddenly concerned about my behavior, and focused on getting my life back together. Then the cops showed up. I was in the middle of making coffee when I heard the knock. 2 officers stood at my door, serious expressions on their faces. Mr. Carter? One of them asked. I nodded, my heart already pounding. Yeah. We receive a report from your wife. Ex-wife. I corrected, though legally, that wasn't true yet. The officer glanced at his notepad. Right. Well, she filed a harassment claim against you. She says you've been stalking her, threatening her, and trying to ruin her life. I felt my blood turn to ice. What? The other officer, an older guy, sighed. Look, Mr. Carter, we just need to ask a few questions. Do you know why she might say that? I exhaled, forcing myself to stay calm. Because she's trying to destroy me. She cheated on me. I kicked her out, and now she's playing the victim. I haven't spoken to her since I told her to leave. If anything, she has been harassing me. The younger officer narrowed his eyes. Do you have any proof of that? I pulled out my phone, scrolling to the texts. The threats. The messages from Daniel. I handed it over. The older officer skimmed through them and nodded. All right, that has changed things. The younger officer still looked skeptical. Look, just stay away from her. Even if she contacts you first. If she tries anything else, report it. We'll make a note of this, but for now, no charges are being filed. I took my phone back, my pulse still racing. Got it. They left, and I stood there, gripping the counter, trying to steady my breathing. Lisa was escalating. And now, she was using the law against me. I needed to be smart. The final blow came a week later. I was at work when my boss called me into his office. The second I walked in, I knew something was wrong. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't relaxed. He was sitting stiffly, hands folded on his desk. I sat down slowly. Everything okay? He let out a breath, rubbing his temples. Carter, we need to talk. My stomach dropped. He pulled out a printed email. An anonymous complaint. It accused me of being verbally abusive in the workplace, of creating a hostile environment. And the worst part? It came with screenshots of fake messages. They looked real. My name. My number. Fake text that made me sound like a complete psycho. This isn't real, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. My boss sighed. I want to believe that. But HR is involved now. We have to investigate. I felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. So what? I'm suspended? He hesitated, then nodded. Paid for now, until we figure this out. I stood up, gripping the chair. Boss, come on. You know me. He looked pained. I do. But this is serious. I walked out of his office in a daze. Lisa had gone nuclear. She didn't just want revenge. She wanted to ruin me. That night, I did the only thing I could do. I called a lawyer. I laid it all out. Lisa's cheating, the money, the false accusations, the harassment, the fake messages. When I was done, my lawyer sighed. You're in a tough spot. No kidding. But he continued. There's good news. She's sloppy. You have plenty of evidence of her harassment, her financial manipulation, and her involvement with Daniel. What do we do? He paused, then said the words I needed to hear. We sue. I exhaled. For what? Defamation, false accusations, emotional distress, everything she's done to you. For the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of hope. Lisa had spent so much time playing her games, thinking she was untouchable. But she had made one mistake. She underestimated me. I was done playing defense. Now, it was my turn to make her regret it. She stole my money. She stole my reputation. And now, she was coming for my job. I had played this game long enough. Staying quiet wasn't working. Laying low wasn't stopping her. She was tearing my life apart brick by brick. And if I let this continue, there wouldn't be anything left. I wasn't just dealing with a bitter ex. I was dealing with a predator. And predators don't stop unless you make them. I took a deep breath, my heart pounding, and made a decision. If Lisa wanted war, she was about to get one. I drove straight to my lawyer's office. I had already spoken to him once, but now I was ready to take action. He looked up when I walked in, eyebrows raised. You look like a man ready to burn something down. I sat down. You have no idea. I laid everything out. The fake harassment claims, the HR complaint, the online smear campaign, even the threats from Daniel. When I finished, my lawyer sat back in his chair and whistled. Damn, she's really going for the kill, huh? I clenched my jaw. Yeah, and I'm done taking it. He nodded, flipping through his notes. All right, here's what we do. First, we file a defamation lawsuit against her. She's spreading blatant lies, and we have the proof. We subpoena social media records, emails, even text messages to show she's fabricating this. Good, I said. What else? He tapped his pen on the desk. We also file a cease and desist. She wants to play dirty? Fine. But the second she spreads another lie, we take her back to court. I exhaled slowly. And my job? His lips pressed into a thin line. That's trickier. Your HR department is playing it safe because they don't want bad press. But if we can prove Lisa is behind the complaints, we can sue for wrongful suspension. I nodded. Then let's do it. He grinned. Now you're thinking like a man who wants a win. And I did. 2 days later, Lisa got the shock of her life. A process server knocked on her apartment door and handed her a thick packet of legal documents. A lawsuit, a cease and desist, a formal demand for her to retract every single lie she had spread about me. I wasn't there to see her reaction, but I wish I had been, because not even an hour later, my phone rang. Lisa. I smirked and hit decline. Then a text. Lisa, are you seriously suing me? I typed back 2 words. Yes. Goodbye. Blocked. Let her deal with my lawyer from now on. It didn't take long for Lisa's world to start crumbling. For one, my lawyer wasn't playing games. He pushed hard, requesting records, tracking down evidence, building a rock-solid case. Then, the best part happened. Lisa had made a huge mistake. She underestimated how quickly people turn when they smell a lie. Once word got out that I was taking legal action, people started talking. A mutual friend reached out. Dude, I think you should see this. He sent me screenshots, other women coming forward about Lisa. Turns out, I wasn't the first guy she had pulled this on. There were others. Exes, former co-workers, even a girl who used to be her friend, people she had manipulated, used, and thrown under the bus when they were no longer useful. And now, people were finally seeing through her. Her once supportive comment section turned against her. Wait, I'm starting to think there's more to this story. Didn't you say your last ex was abusive too? Something's not adding up. Why are you deleting comments, Lisa? I knew her in college. She's been doing this for years. Lisa tried to fight back. She deleted comments, blocked people, posted some bullshit about how victims are always doubted. But the damage was done. Her reputation? Shattered. A few weeks later, I got the call I had been waiting for. My lawyer. "You sitting down?" he asked. I grinned. "Hit me." Lisa's lawyer reached out. "She wants to settle." I leaned back in my chair. Of course she does. She thought she could ruin me. She thought she could take everything. But now, she was the one scrambling to save herself. "She's willing to sign a full retraction," my lawyer continued. "Publicly. She'll admit she lied, drop all accusations, and she's even willing to pay damages." I smirked. "Not good enough." My lawyer chuckled. "I knew you'd say that." He pushed harder. In the end, Lisa lost everything. Her reputation? Gone. Her social life? Destroyed. Her sugar daddy, Daniel, dumped her the second she became a liability. And me? I walked away free. No more lies. No more manipulation. No more Lisa. It took time, but I rebuilt. Got my job back. Repaired my friendships. Started fresh. And Lisa? Last I heard, she was trying to move to another city. Again, probably looking for her next victim. But she won't find one in me. Because now, I know exactly who she is. And I'll never, ever fall for someone like her again. Lisa thought she could break me. She thought she could destroy my life and walk away laughing. But in the end, she played herself. And I won. She turned my friends against me. She trashed my name all over social media. And now, she was going after my job. All because I had the nerve to expose her. Because I refused to let her manipulate me 1 second longer. I took a deep breath, my hands tightening into fists. If Lisa wanted a war, I would give her one. She thought she could rewrite the past, turn herself into the victim, and make me the villain. But she underestimated one thing. I had proof. That night, I gathered everything. Screenshots of her messages with Daniel. Bank statements showing the payments. The invoices. Every filthy, damning receipt she thought she had hidden. Then I wrote my message. To Lisa's subject, cease and desist. Lisa, if you don't take down your lies, I'll make sure the truth is seen by everyone. Your friends, your coworkers, even your family. I have proof, emails, texts, financial records. If you keep trying to ruin my life, I will ruin yours. You have 24 hours. And just to be safe, I forwarded everything to my lawyer. Lisa wanted to play dirty. She just met someone willing to get his hands in the mud. I hit send. Then I waited. It didn't take long. 15 minutes later, my phone buzzed. "Are you serious? You're really going to stoop this low?" I smirked. "Oh, I'm just getting started." She called. I let it ring. Then came the desperate texts. "Okay, let's talk. We don't have to do this. You're acting crazy. I never meant to hurt you. Let's just forget everything and move on." Oh, now she wanted to move on. Now that she realized I wasn't rolling over, too late. The next morning, I sent out a mass email to all our mutual friends. It was short, straight to the point, professional. "Hey, everyone, I know rumors have been going around. I just want to clear the air. Lisa has been spreading lies about me, but here are the facts. I caught her cheating with a wealthy client, and I have the proof, emails, texts, even financial records. I never controlled her, never hurt her, never abused her. If you choose to believe her lies, that's on you. But I won't let my reputation be dragged through the mud without defending myself." I attached asterisk screenshots of her messages with Daniel, asterisk the invoice she sent him, asterisk proof of the bank transfers. And for good measure, I sent the same email to her boss. After all, she wanted to play games. I just changed the rules. The reaction was instant. Within hours, my phone was flooded with messages. "Holy shit, I'm so sorry, man. I had no idea. Lisa told us a completely different story. She's been lying to everyone. Dude, she's done. People are pissed." Then came my favorite part. A coworker of Lisa's, someone I barely even knew, messaged me privately. "Just a heads up, Lisa just got called into HR. Someone forwarded your email to corporate. They're investigating her relationship with Daniel. Apparently, it's a conflict of interest." I sat back, grinning. "Oh, Lisa, you thought you could torch my life and walk away without a scratch?" 2 days later, my lawyer called. "Good news," he said. "Lisa has agreed to drop any legal action. She'll be moving her stuff out by the end of the week. No alimony, no drawn-out fights. That's when I knew. Lisa had lost. She wasn't fighting back anymore. She was running. That same night, I got one last text from her. "I hope you're happy. You ruined my life." I stared at the screen for a long moment. Then I typed, "No, Lisa, you did that all on your own." Blocked. Lisa was out of my life, for good. The house was mine again. The lies, the manipulation, the endless games, over. It took time to fully process everything. Some nights, I lay awake wondering how the hell I had ever loved someone like her. But eventually, the anger faded. The resentment disappeared. And one morning I woke up, looked around my quiet, peaceful home, and finally realized I was free. I had lost a cheating, lying wife, but I had gained something so much better. Myself. Final lesson: if something feels off, trust your gut. If someone tries to gaslight you, don't let them rewrite your reality. And most importantly, never let a liar rewrite your story. Because the truth, it always comes out, and when it does, they're the ones left in the ashes.